Welcome to Jim's Armory. I'm Jim, and this is a follow-up, a continuation of the series on this 226 XFive. In this video, we're going to do a few upgrades and solve some of the problems that I pointed out in the other video. If you haven't seen that video, I've got a playlist for it. You can go and find it on my channel. Anyway, first thing is, I'm going to put an optic on here. This isn't necessarily fixing anything, but it is a nice upgrade. I personally think this is the best competition optic available right now. Large window size, and this is the Ronin version, or Ronin. The reason I like this one is simply because it has it's a nice blackout color instead of the normal logo, which you can see if I've got one here. There's something up here. So normally got that red color there, and on the other side of this one we've actually got this dragon. Definitely cool. I'm not going to use any of this stuff here. I've got my own. So let's get into it then. First thing first, show clear. The magazine here, and hammer down. This gun is clear and safe to work on. So operate the takedown lever here. All right, so first thing we need to do is remove the rear sight and optic plate here. That's going to be a T10. All right, it just lifts up and slides out. It's got this little tab in the front to kind of capture it in right here. Now right here on the top, you can see this is the Sig Pro footprint, but right here, we've also got RMR holes drilled and tapped. So this will cover Sig Pro, Delta Point Pro, and RMR. And then here you can see what I was talking about in the other video. So there's an additional threaded hole here and two little indexing divots here, whatever you call these. And the new optic plate is not going to cover that. So the Sig has a couple of optics that incorporate the rear sight, and there's a couple of different optic plates aftermarket you can get for quite a bit of money that include a rear sight that will cover this, but I'm not interested in those. I don't really find the quality of that rear sight to be what I want exactly, and they're not really tall enough in a lot of cases, so and they just cost a lot. I'm going to put the screws back in here and put this back in the box. I'll start by cleaning this off. I don't know if any oil got down in here or not, but I'm going to hit it with some alcohol, which is a step a lot of people I think skip, probably to their own peril. And here's the plate I'm going to use. Now the point of this plate isn't to provide the threaded holes. They make some with like the T-nuts on them. This actually will line up with the RMR holes already, and it has a small filler right in the front here. So if you were to put this optic on just like this, you're going to leave a small gap, which could, cause the screws to fail. And this also gives you the indexing posts on the front, and on the bottom, there's an indexing post that will mate with this slot right here. And just dry fitting everything. It's a very nice fit. We don't have the gap in the front anymore. It's a very thin plate, so this doesn't really add much height to it like some of the other plates do. And then here I've got an assortment of screws. I think we want Sig threads at 640 instead of the 632. These are 632 up here. Okay. I think another thing that people probably get wrong is trusting this little goober schmooch of Loctite that's on here. I don't know why they even do this. I mean, it may help, but that's not ever enough. We'll do our best to try to clean out any oil, residue, or anything that might be down in these holes. Get a piece of a paper towel. Kind of twist this up on the end here. We need to get something in there. Okay, I should get rid of any oil residue that may be down in there. All right, so clean these off a little bit. I'm just trying to, maybe if I don't use an oily rag, I'm just trying to degrease these, make sure there's no oil on them. Get this out of the way before we spill it. All right, I usually like to have a rag handy. I'll use some blue 242. 243 is a newer formula that's a little more resistant to oil, but 242 is fine. We can use this. And stuff makes a mess. What I usually like to do is just put some on the screw while it's sitting on the rag, and the rag will kind of absorb the excess. Get our optic in place here. And it's going to kind of come from the underside so we don't drop the screw. Just going for hand tight right here. There we go, that's it. Okay. Again, just snug. That's it. A little fix-it stick torque. I like these. These are really good quality. They make some nice portable sets as well. So we're going for 15. We're just going to turn that. Still turning the screw a little bit. All right, I want to get just to 15. That's it right there. Helps to do it a couple times, make sure we're good. There we go, starting to get tight. $15 right there. That's it. Okay. Now it's going to take 24 hours to dry. Good idea to wait 24 hours. Don't go shooting. All right, so with the optic mounted, this is what I was talking about in my other video. So now we've got an exposed threaded hole in these two indexes here. Now, you could leave it that way if you want to. It doesn't hurt anything, but it's ugly, and I don't like that. So I wish I didn't have to pay any extra money at this price point. I feel like Sig could have included a few things. And if you ever bought a Canic, they come in a little case with all kinds of tools and plates and adapters and just every little base plates for your magazines, everything you could think of, at a much, much lower price point. But arguably, it's a cheap striker fired gun compared to this. So the solution is Sig makes a rear sight, comes with a screw. Let's get it out of here so we can see it. All right, so got a little screw here and a little just regular 2-dot sight. At least it has the little texturing on it, kind of like the original sight, which is right here. So it is similar, but it's not as nice. But this is suppressor height. The way this thing goes on is just like that. And then you come in through the top. I cannot see what size that is. I believe it's a 2.5 Allen, and indeed it is. Okay. Now it's got a little bit of factory Loctite on there. Again, I'm not going to trust that. I did read somewhere that the torque spec on this is the same 15 pounds. So we'll get set up here. First, I'm just going to get it hand tight without that. Should never use these, by the way, except for torquing. They should never be used for loosening for sure. That'll break it. But even just for regular tightening, I stay away from this until I'm actually ready to torque it to spec. All right. I'll just put a little dab here. A little. There we go. Goddamn mess stuff. Jesus Christ. All right. Get the excess off of here. I just want it down in the hole. Okay, that's snug. We're approaching 15. There we go. It's 15 inch pounds. Right. It takes care of our little cosmetic issues. So I've got a rear sight on there, and you can see that will provide co-witness. We can't see the front sight. I mean, you can, but it's not the same height. It's much smaller. So Sig makes this. I've actually bought this in a set. Front and rear suppressor height sights. It's the only thing they have available. They don't have regular height, just suppressor height. And that's fine. They work for this purpose. So we're going to need a specialized tool for this. Ooh, right here. I'm going to put a link to some of this stuff. These cost a lot of money. Not this one. This is an exact knockoff of another very popular name brand one. It works great. It's heavy. It's nice. I don't have a problem with it. It was recommended to me by someone on Reddit, I think. And I've used it quite a few times. I've not had any issues at all. So I'll put a link to this. You can pick up one at Amazon for a whole lot less money. Save some of that money for ammo. You get these off of here. Washers. All right, we're going to line this thing up on here. And you use these little lines on here to get it just close enough so I can see it's a little bit crooked here. So I'm going to tighten these up. Just approach, contact here, make sure you're aligned, It doesn't need to be super tight, just a little bit. And then you might have to move it anyway. You got to make sure this piece lines up right here. So what that's going to look like, first of all, front to back, I can see that I need to go back just a little bit. So I'm going to loosen these just a touch. See if I can slide this back to right there. Looks pretty good. Tighten those back up. Okay, that looks good. Go ahead and get these on. Not all the way tight yet. So the next thing we need to be concerned with is the height. So as you start to engage here, that actually looks just about right. But anyway, you can adjust the height with this. That's too low. That's too high. So that is just right there, I think. We'll give that a shot and see. You can always make some last minute adjustments as we begin the process of pushing this side off of there. Definitely want to put a little oil on there to help it out. Let it penetrate a little bit before getting started. There we go, a few drops there. A few drops on that side too. All right, I'm going to try to do this right here so you can see what's going on. I want to just get right on that edge. All right, so here we go. I'm going to just start applying a little bit of pressure very slowly. I can see it moving already. Yep, and there it goes, sliding right off. Just keep cranking. And there it is. That's it. Now, there's a lot of myth about these going on one way and going back on another way. But the truth is, you have to look very carefully. Sometimes it'll be a little bit relieved on the corners on one side just to assist getting it in. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to go that way. It's just to help you out. But the actual dovetail cut in the slide is the same, uniform thickness all the way across. So it's not going to hurt it if you go in backwards. It's just going to be a little bit easier one way versus the other. I don't actually see any relief on this, so I'm just going to go back on the way I came off. I'm going to have to pull this off to get it started. There we go. It's about as far as I can push it by hand. Same height setting should be good. And this is the critical point right here. We just want to make sure it starts straight. All right, I think this needs to come down just a little bit, so I'll lower it a little bit. That looks better. There it goes. I see it moving. And I think we can come down quite a bit more, actually. just kind of adjusting it up a little bit to make sure I'm off of the actual slide and just on the sight. Here we go. Too much. I think that's it. It's perfect. Get that oil off there. All right, that's a good job. Let's make sure we can co-witness here. Oh yeah, I can see that front sight for sure. Excellent. So we've got like a lower, I don't know, 1/4, 1/5 co-witness. But that's it. That'll do it. All right, so that just leaves one more problem, and that's this tiny little slide release right here. So to solve that problem, you can bend it. I've not tried it. I read somewhere somebody had some luck doing that. I guess you could just buy an extra one, but luckily, thanks to Sig Guy, little shout out for Sig Guy, great YouTube channel. If you're into SIGs, he's got a lot of information. He sells tools on his website, parts, stuff like this. So do give him a visit. Pick one of these up. I think it's less than 30 bucks. And it just simply sticks straight out is what it does. It doesn't seem like that's going to do a lot, but you'd be amazed. It puts it right out there where you can easily get it. So let's get into it. Again, show clear, nothing in there, no magazine. Push our little button down there. We won't need that. So that's what we're looking at right here. So it actually just rides on the same pin that the trigger does. And the way to get this out, it's very, very similar to a striker fired gun. You just twist this. There's a little spring that just twisting it kind of pushes that spring out of the way. And just get in here with your fingers and you can pull this piece straight out like that. Don't lose the little spring right there. If you do, it's not a big deal to get it. I mean, if it falls off, you just stick it right on there like that. It just rides there. We'll just set this like that so we don't lose that piece. Now, you don't even need to push this pin out all the way. Just begin pushing a little bit here. Pull it from the other side until you're just clear. Right there. Piece slides right out. Drop the new one in. Line it up. And there you go. That's it. Now, this piece can be a little bit tricky to get back on. Just again, watch that little spring. And this little slotted hole right here is going to go right on the trigger pin. Same pin we just put that on. The way to do that is think of this as like a little ramp right here. It's going to ride right off that part of the trigger right there. And now if you get about that far and it just does not want to go, you can turn this. There we go. Brother. All right. Just a little patience. Famous words of Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. We just need a little patience. All right. You can see the flattened part of this. It helps to just engage that with that little spring that's sitting there and just twist. And it'll go right in. Line it up on the other side. Same thing. Just kind of keep twisting and there you go. We're back in. And we can put our slide back on. And make sure this little safety right here is down. All right, look at that. Much better, much better. So if we got our slide locked, before you had to either come around the side or over the top, and either way it changes your grip, which I don't like that. You should be able to easily reach it, which you totally can right now. Look at that. I don't have to change my grip at all. I hate slamming the slide like that, but just for demonstration, I'm going to slow it down this time. So my grip is not changing one bit. Let's say I drop a mag, put a new mag in. Easy, easy. Just go right over the safety, just like you're already doing. And it's just right there. So that's it. A few simple upgrades. We've changed this gun from a great gun to an excellent, very functional gun. We've got co-witness, as I mentioned, and we've got a great slide release now. There's nothing else I would change about this thing. I didn't actually adjust the trigger. I played with it a little bit, and I ended up putting it right back to factory settings. It was perfect for me right where it is. It's the right finger length. I can get enough of my finger on there. I can maintain a good grip. Really great gun. Thanks for watching.